talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me. I have a very special guest tonight. I am Dr. Judy, WTF, with the Freud, and this is a call-in show, so please call in 323-843-2826, and tonight I have a very special guest. Her name is Heather, and thank you very much for sure.
Thank you.
And she's a very special guest because she's an expert on the subject that we're going to be talking about. And the subject of this evening is a subject very near and dear to my heart. I don't know why, but I've had this file in my cabinet called Homeless Project Forever. And, there's no better time than now to start addressing this huge, very, very sad topic, a topic that affects not only homeless people, it affects everybody, really. And we were talking a little bit about the impact, not only on the people who are out there on the street, but the people that are behind the glass in nice warm homes and are witness to this and the various feelings that it brings up in people. So thank you very, very much.
No problem.
And
my honor.
Okay. So anyway, I thought that really you're the perfect person to talk about this.
Well, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of different varieties of homelessness.
Okay.
And that's why I never judge a book by a cover, because you don't know what you're interacting with. It could be a homeless person and they look like everybody else, clean cut. But the only difference is they don't have a home,
Right.
And I look like this on the streets, and a lot of people actually judge me by the way that I looked, because, appearance is, the majority of that's the first thing you see is with the way the person looks. And I learned early on to, groom myself and take care of myself, even when I'm homeless, thank God there's free showers on Santa Monica, you know, because that's part of the reason why I chose it, is because there's free showers, and I pride myself on taking care of myself. And so a lot of people that saw me didn't know that I was homeless.
And you really look very beautiful this
Thank you.
evening. Yeah.
Thank you.
And
so do you.
Thanks. and you just have a very artistic flair. I've known Heather for a while, and I've seen her artwork. Amazing.
Thank you.
And just the way you put yourself together. And you've had a really long journey. And so, of course, this is a show about healing human disconnect. And
Right.
so I can't imagine anything more disconnecting than
definitely.
being homeless.
Definitely.
And just everything that goes along with it. And I think you bring up a good point. It's not one type of homeless.
No,
People
there's
go
many.
homeless. Go ahead. Who have
the-
you
the-
met on the streets?
The disasters that happen, the fires and the floods and all
Sure.
this stuff, those people now don't have a home.
Correct.
They're homeless, but that doesn't mean that they're any less of a person. And that's exactly what I felt like when I was, on the beaches. The cops would stop by, and matter of fact, one of the cops said, we have certain standards in Santa Monica, and you don't live up to them. And I'm like, oh,
Really?
well, excuse me. It's not like I'm not going through a hard time already. They don't want to help. They just want you out of their sight. Go someplace else with your homelessness, so we don't have to be faced with it every day. And that's the reason why they don't like people being homeless on, at Santa Monica, is because there's a lot of tourists that go by and they don't want them to see it. But you know, that's the
Affecting-
safest place that I felt. I felt safer in Santa Monica than I did in Venice, because Venice has all the drug dealers and gang members, and it's really, really scary, especially at night. And you know, I've been homeless off and on since I was 12. You know, I hitchhiked and was homeless on the streets of San Francisco and all that stuff. But it doesn't change the fact. It doesn't take away that fear. You just get immune to it. You have the fear that's there, that gut instinct tells you don't go down that pathway. But, you know, that's the only pathway I know.
So, do you mind if we talk a little
Sure.
bit about your journey? Because obviously, there's a wide range of people who end up on the streets, and there's nothing more that will hit a person's negative core belief
Oh, yeah.
than being homeless.
Yeah, the psychological
Right?
effect is really just, I sing for money on the side of, you know, on the street. I would much rather have a gift, something to give to somebody, not just hold a sign, because there's a lot of people that hold signs and that's all they have, and I get it, but I have a talent of singing and doing art, and so I'd rather do that. But even doing something and giving something,
Yes.
people look at me like I was a disease.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't human, like I was interrupting their breath, you know?
Wow, that's a very, very poignant way of putting it.
Yeah.
And so there's a backdrop to this, because as many of you know, watching, if you're new to the show, welcome. Just a little bit about my background. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. And by the way, people ask me, are you really a clinical psychologist? Are you licensed? Yes, I am. Went to school at UCLA, and then I went to a school called California Graduate Institute, which is now the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. Had a big background in, believe it or not, stop smoking. I had my own clinic called Habit Breakers, and got inspired to move not only into helping people stop smoking and lose weight, but then going back to school and opening up to helping people with anxiety, with depression, with all kinds of symptoms. So that's what I do. And I created a mind map that takes people on a journey from their wounds of childhood. And if you don't mind putting the mind map up, thank you very much. So this mind map came to me, originally the idea was born out of a statement that I made called, the statement wasn't called, it was the statement was talking about the Arab-Israel clash of the isms, as I like to call it. And I made this remark, well, isn't it time that we join the human race? So
Right.
this mind map
Brilliant.
was really called Join the Human Race originally, and the mind map was meant to heal global disconnect.
Yeah.
And since I didn't have the funds to do that, I started looking at it as a psychological model and applying it to the people that I was seeing. And so the mind map is really a journey from wounds of the past through dismantling them and taking inventory of the damage and the defenses and the breakdowns, and then breaking through with truth, with dialogue, with confronting the cause, which is always our blueprint. Who's the cause of our mental dis-ease? And I do like to call it a dis-ease, because my philosophy is that we're not crazy, we're made crazy. And we're not sick. I mean, unless you've got some sort of an organic problem going on, a real organic condition that's making you sick, then we have to look at human disconnect as the cause. And I think you've got plenty to share on that subject, because this is, why I wanted Heather to be here today is so that we could really track the tragedy of human disconnect and what it does to a person on all levels, mind, body, soul, right?
It's all connected.
And economically.
Yeah.
Because when you have a horrible core belief and you don't believe in yourself because you've been made to feel horrible and like nothing, then that's what you believe you are, what you are.
That's what you manifest, because everything starts with a thought. everything. And if this is sick and this is sick, then everything that, you know, you're gonna manifest or bring, or, you know, it might just appear in your life, and then you don't recognize it because you've been used to it your whole life.
Right.
So you're not going to fix it because that's all you know.
Well, we talked a lot about that this evening, about being used to something. And parents set the bar. So if you're in a household where abuse is every day, verbal abuse, there are 5, panel 1, all of the abuses: physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, neglect, smothering. Those are the ones.
I check all those except for
you
smothering.
Okay. I think you could probably use a little bit more spoiling and smothering, right?
Right,
I guess. To balance out.
I wouldn't know what it was like.
See, this is the thing, is that these are foreign because you never had...
Yeah, it's literally a foreign language. Like, if I watch some of your videos, some of them on, like, smothering or, like, I don't know, hovering parents and stuff like that, it doesn't apply to me, so I don't get it. It's a flyby. It goes right over my head. But I see the compassion when you're talking about the subject and how passionate you are on how to help people fix that. And that's what I connect with when I see it, even though it doesn't apply to me.
Right.
The compassion and caring is there, and that's what applies to everybody.
Because everybody's...
That's what's going to heal the world, is love and compassion.
100%. The most
genuine.
Genuine.
It has to be genuine because people tend to know and when it's fake, you know. And they you know, unless they're completely lost. And I guess there's a lot of people that are lost and disconnected, so they wouldn't know if it was fake or not.
And it's the most underutilized force on the planet, unconditional love. So, okay, what is unconditional love? Unconditional love is something that you give to babies, okay, and hopefully grown-ups. However, I really want to also add that love is earned. It's an earnership.
That's a new one.
Okay.
For me.
So you can unconditionally love people and have compassion and understand really their injuries and so on. However, to really be in a mature, loving, panel 7 interconnected relationship, you have to earn it. And part of ownership, I think, is also earning mental health, because we're not all given mental health. You know, most of us are not born with a white picket fence around us. And so that we have to dig ourselves out of what I refer to as the hole in the soul.
Right.
And the hole in the soul could be medium, it could be small, it could be large. And these injuries could be anywhere from physical, sexual, emotional abuse, but it could also be smothering, because that's a very, very sad injury too. When somebody is spoiled and somebody is hovered over.
Oh, my brother was like that.
Okay, you don't separate and individuate. And even though it looks like, wow, wouldn't I like some of that? Right. Well, you know, if you're in it, what it does is it really weakens you.
He's coddled. He was coddled, so he didn't know how to do anything.
There we go.
For himself. So I mean, I could, like you said, I could wish for it. Like, oh, that looks really good. Like, it looks like he's being loved and he's so cherished and stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is that he, you know, he doesn't know how to do anything, you know, like in the real world. So
he didn't develop that muscle. You, on the other hand, you were not coddled. You were not spoiled.
I was not.
And so, you know, there's a statement, I think it's from AA, that which makes you rich makes you poor. That which makes you poor makes you rich.
Wow.
Okay, and so sometimes I know this from my own life. Some of the things that have really deeply hurt me have enriched my soul, because I choose to look at things from a curse by design.
You choose to.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't in the moment, because I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened to me.
You're human, so.
Yeah, I think, very. Yeah. And so in your case, I think you got really toughened up.
Really quick, yeah.
Yeah, and you have great instincts. You know, I've heard some of your you've shared some of your conversations of how you handle pretty scary people, and I want to go through that.
Oh, you mean the one that Okay, when I was on the beach and
Defense mechanism 101, homeless defense mechanisms.
Well,
Go
yeah.
for it.
Well, the thing is that when you're raised by someone so violent and very aggressive, and I was raised by the devil, but the thing is that the plus side to it, the blessing to it, is that I could handle a situation like this. I was sleeping on the beach in Santa Monica, and I woke up to a man that was on meth, a tweaker, and he was right there in my face. Now, first I was startled, of course, but then I composed myself, and I looked at him as just a person that was on drugs, and I had faith, and I stood my ground. I wasn't shaky, and I said, "Hello, my name is Heather." I introduced myself, made myself human to him,
Beautiful.
And I, instead of ridiculing him and judging him, which that's a risk, I should have just, got up. Any normal person would have probably got up and screamed and ran away or was very shaky. But I chose to sit there and talk with him for a moment. And I was blessed that he didn't choose to do something stupid to me, but those are this. I've been caught in numerous situations where, regular, everyday, quote unquote, normal, not, just a setting on a washing machine. I don't even know what normal is, but normal people would be scared because they're not used to that violence, that aggressiveness. I was raised with it, so I could confront it. I know this beast. Yes. So it's like I know what to do.
Okay.
And
I think some individuals, and we've talked on so many shows about narcissistic defenses and so on, where you close down, you shell up, you don't feel anymore because it's a protective mechanism. It's almost like you're the opposite of that.
I'm open. I'm very open.
You feel compassion for the person. You connect with the person, and you somehow when you come from the consciousness. Okay, this is a very, very important concept, and a concept behind my mind map system is that consciousness is causal. I'll say it again. Consciousness is causal. Max Planck talks about consciousness, and it is a causal force. Yeah. And so if I'm coming from the consciousness of fear, I'm going to have one outcome in the situation. And of course, we're animals. We're going to go into fight, flight. Right. We're going to be triggered. I don't know what I would have done, but I do know that when I was held up at gunpoint, which I referred to on a few episodes, I know that what I did was I disappeared. Right. I just went by.
Disassociated, yeah.
I did. I just went very quiet and very unobtrusive. But you don't know what you're going to do. Going back to consciousness, it seems like you seem to be able to be in the consciousness of compassion.
Yeah. I know how to talk to people. I don't know where. The thing is that this is really messed up. I have been, like I said, I've been abused in every different every way that you could think of. And I never really got that wholesome love. I still today have problems knowing what real love is, but I don't know how I get this compassion for other human beings. I don't know where that came from. I guess maybe spiritual or just, I don't know. Someone must have loved me, somehow to where I learned it. I think from strangers. When I was younger, that's who saved me. People, their compassion. I was saved by compassionate people that genuinely cared about me. And I looked and I soaked it in. Like a newborn, even though I wasn't little when I got saved. I was 12. But I soaked it in, and I think it stuck with me. And to have the understanding that we're all human and we all make mistakes, and not to judge. It's good to judge on some things, like
to have judgment
of the situation. Yes. Like if you're going to eat some food, if it's green and it smells bad, that's a judgment upon the food. Same thing with people that you hang out with. Some people are toxic, and they're your friends, and it's hard to say, you're toxic to them and, let them go.
But sometimes you have to.
But you have to be aware of it to begin with. I spent most of my life not knowing and not being aware that I'm surrounded by all these toxic people.
Because it was familial and familiar.
Yes.
Okay, so if you don't mind sharing a little bit, the mind map. Heather's listened to so many of my episodes.
I go to sleep to your. You don't put me to sleep. I fall
I don't
asleep.
put you to sleep.
No, you don't.
Not that boring.
No.
Okay.
But I do go to bed. I go to bed watching your videos to feed it into my subconscious. Before I go to. It's like eating something wholesome. That's what I feel like is the videos help me understand the world around me and myself a little bit better. You've helped me so much, and I'm forever thankful and grateful, and because it's just, you changed my world, literally. You just and you've given me hope.
And you participate so much in your healing. Yeah.
I'm trying. And that's the thing. People have to want to heal.
Yeah.
They have to want to.
I just want to say, with your permission, you can interrupt me anytime.
Go ahead. You have permission for anything.
You came all the way from
Mississippi.
Amazing.
I only lived there briefly, but yes.
I know, but the fact that you came.
Yeah, I came here from Mississippi because I was in an abusive relationship, and I chose to rather be homeless on the beach than to endure the abuse any longer. I know it took 3 years to figure that out, but I always give people the benefit of the doubt and give people the time to change if they're going to, if they really care about the relationship and us. And so I chose to be homeless in Santa Monica or LA. Partially because I had hope that I can heal myself through interacting and connecting with you and through other people in my life, and just mainly you. Because you,
I didn't figure it out.
No, because I saw your video and I was like, this person is really, she's genuine. She, and I've met a lot of counselors and therapists and doctors and blah blah blah. I was a guinea pig. I was put in a mental hospital, when I was 12 and had a breakdown, and I was a guinea pig, and they put me on all kinds of medications. They didn't know what was wrong with me, and so I've met all these people, but when I saw you, you were very genuine on your video, and I was like, and when I called you, then I was for sure that you really were going to help. I was meant to see your video. I don't know how it happened, but you popped up with your video on my screen, and during a really hard time that I was going through, and I needed somebody because I was all alone. I was 6 miles away from anybody. It took me 2.5 hours to walk to town. I don't know how to drive, and I didn't know anybody in Mississippi, so except for the relationship that I was with. So I was very isolated. I felt like a prisoner. And so when your video popped up, it was like a keyhole. I looked through a keyhole and I saw.
But what a risk you took just
of course.
to come out here. And I didn't figure it out. She walked into my office, and I didn't know that you were homeless until I think you brought your luggage, and I think I kidded around with you. I said, "Are you moving in or something?" And then
I said the place that I'm staying won't allow me. I tried to not let her know that I was homeless, of course. And I said, the place that I'm staying doesn't let me keep my stuff there, so that I tried lying a little white lie, but I didn't want her to worry about my situation, and then she figured it out, I guess, or came clean eventually. Wow. And then she helped me.
So being homeless, psychological effects. Okay, so the homelessness is a reflection, isn't it, of your panel 1 wounds and everything that you endured? Because clearly, mostly, when people have a symptom or an outcome or chaos and a breakdown, such as going homeless, it didn't just come from thin air.
No.
Okay? So there's a backdrop to this. Okay? So if you wouldn't mind sharing your panel 1 wounds. You said you could check off just about every one of them, except for the smothering and the spoiling, which you could use a little more of. In a good way, in a nurturing way.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if you did that, I'd do it right back at you, but more, because All I need is a little bit. Anyway,
And by the way, I just want to say something because you said something significant. Heather has a really very, very soft heart, and she's a giver. And I've done a lot of shows on the people pleasing.
Yeah, I'm a definite people pleaser.
That's one of the things we're working on, because it's beautiful to give. It's not okay to give to people who are takers.
That's right.
I call them vampires. Okay. And by the way, this is a call-in show, so please feel free to call in, ask Heather a question.
Yes. Please call in
and share your experience of what it's like for you to have been homeless, if that was your situation, or what it's like for you to be somebody who's a have in terms of economics, and then go by a homeless person who's sick or cold or has sores on their body or smells bad or is a child and is holding up a sign with the mother.
How you feel about that.
And I think, I was just saying to somebody that I think that ambivalence is one of the hardest human emotions, because I have to say a lot of feelings run through me when I see it.
Yeah.
Okay?
It runs through me too.
Of course.
Yeah, I go through the same situation, even though I'm homeless. When I'm out of the situation, the way that I look at other homeless people is the same way. You go through all these ranges of emotions. What do I do? How do I help this person? And how do I figure out to be okay if I choose not to do anything?
Yes.
And it's okay not to do anything. You can pass by. It's okay. And what I refer to a lot when I'm holding my sign or singing, well, I hold a sign while I'm singing because then it indicates I want money for singing.
Exactly.
But I think to myself, it's okay that person, didn't give, but I gave them the opportunity to give.
Yes.
So it's a chore, it's humbling, actually, very humbling to live off of people's kindness. Very humbling experience, but there's some people that are just so mean and jaded, and a lot of them are drunk when they say stuff. They just say horrible, just degrading things, like I'm a pit stop for their junk. And there's actually a lot of my friends that are homeless too. They go through it a lot. They go through it a lot. They get ridiculed because of the way they look, because they look different than me. They're kind of grungier, or they have dirt under their nails, or they get treated differently because of their attitude and their mentality, because some of my friends are addicted to drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And that's another level. That's another level of homelessness, and there's a lot of people that are addicted to things, which it's all connected. See how you started first with addictions, people's addictions.
Yes.
You started, at the smallest level, and then you worked your way up to human connection.
Yeah, that's true. I never
so
thought
it's
about it
it's
that
all
way.
connected the same way as homeless people, being homeless and having addictions.
Yes.
It all goes
hole in the soul.
Hole in the soul.
Yeah,
it all
right.
goes to the same spot. So just because you didn't experience homelessness, you may experience homelessness in a different way. Like lack of stable friends, or lack of willpower. I don't know. There's a lot of different varieties.
So let's take a moment, because I think whether it's homelessness or some kind of another situation in life that people are suffering from, and I was just telling Heather, we're all suffering on some level. Some of you out there are suffering because you have a disease. Some of you are suffering because you're going through a breakup. Some of you are suffering because you're deep in an addiction. Some of you are suffering because you're lonely. There's always a suffering, and that's the human condition.
And that's really homelessness in a
deep sense.
It's the homelessness in yourself, because you're not really there when you're on drugs and alcohol. You're not really there when you're going through depression, and or you have to deal with somebody being abusive or watching all of this stuff is all connected, just like what you wanted me to explain about what I didn't. I kind of detoured the train there of talking about what the causal effect of all this, the abuse that I suffered when I was a child. I mean, and It was excruciating. I had to survive. I wasn't living. I was surviving. I was enduring these people that dumped their junk on a child. I can't even fathom, like, picturing myself, like, treating a child like that, the way that these people treated me. And it was, I never had a home, to tell you the truth.
And then you went from no home to foster home.
Right, foster homes.
Yeah.
I never knew the word of stability in home. I never really had that.
And that kind of blows trust in the world. Cause
even when I was living in a home with my
Right.
parents, and they were upper middle class.
Right.
First I was very, very poor with my mom. 2 different situations. They got divorced. And then with my dad and my stepmom, they were upper middle classes. So I got to experience, which is a blessing. Very, very poor. No running water, no electricity.
Yeah.
Eating out the garbage can.
Yeah.
No home, no warmth. No, very religious, like cult-like setting. And to that, when I was seven and a half, moving to my.
That was with your stepmother and your father?
No,
or
that was
your
with my mom and my uncle,
I
which
see.
is my stepdad, which is my dad's brother. My Uncle Daddy.
Okay,
Anyway,
Uncle
Daddy,
Daddy.
and that was in Arizona. And then my dad took me to Crescent City, California, when I was 7.5, and I stayed with him for 5 years until I was 12. And yeah, I had a stable, I had a roof over my house, a head, I had a bed. I was able to take a shower and bathe, and I had food in my belly, but I didn't have a home.
Yeah.
They were so abusive to me. I don't know. I felt alien the majority of my life. And I guess that just carried on because there was never really anybody to recognize the abuse that went on. But eventually it got caught, and I got seeing counselors and doctors and all that stuff. But because I was so broken, I didn't open up to anybody. There's a period of time where I didn't even talk to anybody. I didn't use words. I just completely shut down. So therefore, if I shut down, I can't tell you how to help me. They didn't know what was wrong with me. That's why they put me full of medications and stuff, because they didn't know it, because I wasn't talking.
I think that's our go-to in our society. I thank the intelligence of the pharmaceutical companies for people who really, really need that.
Yeah.
I call it I like to take a psychological approach first, but of course there's some people who need the medication.
Yeah, there is.
People who are bipolar, for example, they do a lot better on lithium and some other medications. Some people do. And
I'm turned off by it.
No, I mean, it's just, you can't go there only. You've got to look at the cause.
Right.
And so it's no surprise that you ended up on the street, and
Right.
it's no surprise that your core belief is something like what?
I'm worthless.
Right?
I think that, a lot, I'm stupid. I'll say, and I turn into a little kid. It's like I lose all control, and I don't know if any of you guys relate to this or not, but I lose control, and this little kid comes up, and it's like, no, I messed up. I'm a mess up. I mess up everything I touch, and I have no control over that. It feels like another entity comes into my body and possesses it, and I think it's just the abused child that never got fixed.
That's right, because that abused child always thinks that you're wrong.
Right.
It's your fault.
Right.
Why did mommy hit me? Because I'm a bad girl.
That's right.
Why did daddy neglect me? Because I'm a bad girl.
Worthless.
Why did this happen?
Yeah.
Why did that happen? It's that Alice Miller thing where the psychoanalyst Alice Miller, she wrote an amazing book, Drama of the Gifted Child, Search for the True Self. She talks a lot about the false self there. And
wow.
Yeah, it's just, really, it's a classic book that everybody should have on their bookshelf if they're interested in this kind of topic. And the explanation in there is brilliant, that the child does not want to be in a paranoid world, so she or he will make him or herself bad so that they can be the wrong one, and mommy and daddy could be the powerful, godlike, idealized figures, because we don't want to lose the idealism of our parents. And so we as children, we take the hit, we take the blame for pretty much everything.
And also that's something that we have control over.
Right.
That's the one thing that, we don't have any control as children. So if we think, well, it's my fault, then you could sort of take a little bit of control.
Absolutely.
And feel a little bit, not as lost.
So I'm just paralleling the fact that when you're feeling this worthless, which obviously got encoded in you as a psychovirus, I like to call it, and you soaked it in, you bought into it, because that's what children do when they're given either nonverbal or verbal messages. We as babies, infants, children, we soak it in. Right. And we're making conclusions about ourselves, like, oh, we're stupid, oh, we're worthless, right. Oh, we're not lovable, oh, we're garbage. Okay, so when you get these kinds of messages, it's no surprise that you would be more likely to end up on the street, right. Because the street is kind of like a hologram, right?
Right.
Well, see, I told you so. See, I'm garbage next to the garbage can.
Right, and I've actually thought that, yeah.
Yes, not surprisingly. Yeah. And this is a call-in show, and please feel free to pick up the phone and call in 323-843-2826, and we're happy to talk about this very, very important and deep and painful subject. And I want to talk about the effects now on people who are not homeless, who are watching people who are homeless, and what that's like. And so what do you think people are feeling that are standing next to you?
That step away.
And
they go, ooh, it's contagious. I was like, most of the time I was like, don't worry, dude. Homelessness is not contagious.
What? Okay, and one of the things that I learned in shrink school, in my psychology classes, I had a wonderful supervisor, and she would always talk about helpful help and unhelpful help. And so I want to bring that up because I think that people generally, they want to do something, and maybe they do that as a defense mechanism because they feel so uncomfortable that they can't do anything, or they're embarrassed that they're turned off.
Right.
Okay. And it's for real, because some homeless people, obviously, they look dangerous, or they're
definitely
talking to themselves, or they smell bad, and they're
angry.
And so the idea is we don't want to get too close to the people, but then I know for myself, I want to do something, but I don't know what to do. So I think
there's always something to do. There's numerous things that are safe in
so
a constructive
tell me,
way.
What do you think people out there could do?
Soup kitchens, volunteer at soup kitchens, make a sack lunch. And this is what I wanted to do actually when I had money and was stable, sort of. Was just make a whole bunch of sack lunches, get a box from a food bank or something, and then make them food and then hand it out. Yes. I mean, that's safe during the day.
Yeah.
It's
very...
just, you don't have to give money. You can give time. Just sit next to someone that you think that is having a hard day, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a homeless person. It can be anybody, and I've done it numerous times myself. Sometimes people just want someone and need someone that'll listen to them and make them feel human again. And a lot of people that are on the streets, they don't even have human contact, literally human contact, no hugs, for months, years.
They're
and it's so sad, non-touched in years, years. And I mean,
painful.
Just it's gross to shake somebody's hand or something that looks all nasty and stuff, but wear gloves or something. But just that handshake and a smile,
or look them in
the
eyes.
Just listen to what they said, and that'll save a person. That'll save a person's life. That'll save a person's moment. Just making someone smile and just spreading compassion. When I was homeless, I started with my friend, because I had a group of friends that stayed with me. I started saying positive things to just total strangers that walk by. Just say, I love you. You're beautiful. You're a wonderful person. Literally, made people smile, like they were, like they started gleaming. The way that they walked was different. They stood up taller, and we did too. It helped us as well, and it's just a compliment. It's a total stranger. And a lot of people cut themselves off from human connection, even in that sense of saying something decent or kind to people, and it creates positive energy.
You know, we were talking about medication, and so our brain is the best source of pharmacology ever.
Oh, yes.
And human connection is the neurological connection that gets all of the serotonin and the dopamine flowing. So if we're just going to go by having our own thoughts or our own intentions be the pharmacology, right, that heals the human race, then what you're saying, just by virtue of the fact that you're saying something to that person or paying attention to that person, that starts to change their physiology.
It changes mine too.
Right.
It's like it's like a supernova or whatever. Just it goes out, and you can actually feel. Yeah, you can actually feel.
Yes.
You could feel that energy and the kindness go, and then they're kind to another person.
Yes.
And, and just that's what you guys can do if you want to. If you're passing by and you feel bad about passing up a homeless person, don't feel bad, because there's plenty of opportunities and plenty of time to do something kind for anybody.
For anybody. Right. So again, if you have a question, please feel free to call in. I know this is a heavy topic, a painful topic, and sometimes people go kind of speechless on this one, like, what am I going to say here? Because usually I get call-ins, and tonight it's been very quiet, but I think it's kind of like you want to call in? Okay, come on. She wants a call in. 323-843-2826. If you've been homeless, if you have feelings about what it's like to be in the presence of homelessness, if it's had some sort of psychological impact on you, we have a few minutes. We could share this, and then, of course, we're going to do our Shrink That Tune song. So please feel free to take advantage to talk to the expert person.
I'm not an expert.
Well, you've been through it. That's what I mean. You've been on the streets. So, some people know it.
I'm a survivor.
Yes, you are.
Just
more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've endured. I don't know. I don't know if I'm an expert. There's plenty of other people probably better than me.
Seasoned.
Yes, seasoned would be proper.
Seasoned at this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I want to ask the audience seriously is I'm thinking about putting together a nonprofit foundation for people who can't afford to get mental health help. And I want to know how the audience would feel about that. I'm not big on asking for things, but in this case, I think there's such a need for good therapy.
Yeah.
And to offer people the opportunity to heal via the mind map. And I have a beautiful staff of people.
Hey, that's a way you can help.
Pardon me?
If you want to help, that's a way to help too. Donations. There's lots of donations.
Yeah. Yes.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. And then people can sponsor somebody who is in dire need of mental health care, and offer that person mental health care of a kind that goes to the cause of the matter, because we can't just treat the symptoms. If we're just going to be treating the effects of homelessness with medication or just food, or just home. If you give the people things, which is very important, not discounting it, but you have to make them solid and whole mentally,
otherwise
else they can't hang on to it, because if you don't have the mental health, then it's like it's going to just flow through the person's hands, because they don't know how to they don't know how to internalize it.
Yeah. Plus, there's a lot. I almost feel like I'm addicted to being homeless, almost, because that's the only pathway I know. So if I don't know the right pathway to go down, then I'm just going to go down the same pathway that I've been going down, which is being homeless.
Is there a call-in? Oh, that's great. You asked for it, you got it. Hi.
Yay.
You're on the air with Dr. Judy and Heather. And who is this, please?
Hi, this is Joe.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Joe.
Joe. Nice to
Joe.
meet you.
Joey?
Okay. Well, nice to meet you.
Yep.
And
Hi, Dr. Judy. Hi, Heather.
hi. Thank you for calling in. We asked for it, and so here you are. You showed up. Thank you.
Well, I was watching the show, and normally I always watch the shows. Been a motivation and inspiration, and in some cases maybe even a lifesaver. At least as far as connecting so many dots. But normally I kind of listen for people that call in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was listening to the show, and nobody was calling in, and they asked for it. So I said, okay, I'm just going to call in.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So go ahead, ask your question, pick our brain.
But
yeah, go
I
ahead.
definitely understand, like with Heather, definitely can relate. Came from an extremely abusive upbringing, unfortunately by my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And, learning what I've learned now from you, Dr. Judy, I can understand that she was very, very injured.
Yes, it's
And
multi-generational.
I can only imagine what she went through
Right.
to do that to her children.
Yeah.
Right.
And so when you grow up with a mother that's raising you, that, growing up in poverty, growing up with, I can go through a whole list of, growing up, getting your head banged against the wall,
Oh, yeah.
getting called stupid, you're an idiot, you're nothing, can't you do anything right? I can go on and on and on and on and on about what she said to me and my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 6 of us, and 3 ended up turning to alcohol and drugs.
Well, there it is, the hole in the soul, and unfortunately, how are we doing on time? Are we good on time, or okay? I just need a little time to shrink the tune. We have an awesome tune, so I'll just take another minute or so. That unfortunately, it's an epidemic. Okay,
Yeah.
and people like yours. I really didn't get your name. Was it Joe?
Yeah, Joe.
Joe. Okay. So, people like yourself, Joe and Heather, it's amazing because somehow you're able to, even though, I have had so many series on about narcissistic parents and people who have to literally cut their family off to the point where they go homeless.
Yeah.
And they see their parents as evil, and justifiably so. Just doesn't mean that you have to continue to engage with these people, but it does take a bit of a perspective to see this I call it a multi-generational system gone wrong. And that's what is so important for us to heal in this generation. And we do have to hold ourselves accountable, because if we're not doing well and we're spreading our psychovirus to our children,
Right.
that's not fair. And we can't just let it go and say, well, we're hurt, and because our parents were hurt and their parents were hurt, we have to say, you know what, we're hurt. Our parents were hurt, but the buck stops here.
Right.
Okay.
Break the chain.
And this, we gotta change this. So I think we're going to continue this theme. Okay. And so we'll talk about continuing, because I think it's just so important. And thank you for calling in. I want to share with the audience that.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
Yeah, thank you.
I feel honored and blessed that you shared your story with us.
For sure, Heather. I can definitely relate, and I know you're short on time, and it seems like the hour goes by in a minute.
Yeah, I know.
That's what it feels like to me.
And,
thank you.
That you share.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. And by the way, Joe and audience, my mind map video series is just about out. I'm going to be up all night tonight, I think, editing the last minute, because I want to make it right, and I have to give up on the idea of perfection. It's just not going to be perfect. So there. So the mind map video series is up on my website.
That's convenient.
drjudywtf.com or psychologicalhealingcenter.com under resources, and then if you slide the little screen, you'll see Mind Map Series. And if you purchase before it comes out, you get $200 off. And you can look at it. And if you're a graduate of the Mind Map Therapy, you get 50% off of the video. And it's the entire journey. It comes with the book, the journal. It comes with a new thing that I put together called the Wound Activation Prevention System.
That sounds so cool.
It has a case study in there, and I'm lecturing. I'm going through the introduction to the mind map all the way through all the panels. And then I have my grandson in there who explains from a child's perspective,
Nice.
the mind map. So check it out. I'll talk about that more, and you can at this time pre-purchase it. And so I want to close out with a Phil Collins lyric. We do have a couple of minutes. Is that okay? Oh, 2 minutes.
Am I still on?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're online. So thank you. I'm gonna read the song out, and then we'll pick this theme up another time. So thank you, Joe, for calling in.
Yeah.
And
Okay, thank you, and
Okay.
nice with the work that you do, Heather. I'd love to see your art sometime. So
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you.
I'll have to post that on the
Yeah,
site.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank
You
you,
too.
Joe. You too. Okay, so Phil Collins' lyrics, Another Day in Paradise, one of my favorite songs. Heather, you chose it. And by
Yeah.
the way, Heather's been choosing a lot of my Shrink That Tune.
Oh, you don't
I
have
think
to
I'm,
give me
I'm
credit.
making her the official Shrink That Tune song chooser. And also,
I just
I'm
love
open
music.
to suggestions. Yeah, and I love rock music. So,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to shrink this together. So I'll kind of bust through it because we're short on time. She calls out to the man on the street, "Sir, can you help me? It's cold and I've nowhere to sleep. Is there somewhere you can tell? Is there somewhere you can tell me?" What do you think that's all about?
Well, I think it's pretty blunt.
Mm-hmm.
It's straight to the point of she's calling out to a person that's walking by her for help, and she's saying that she needs help, and it's cold. Specifically, it's cold and there's nowhere to sleep.
Yeah.
I've felt that many times.
Yeah,
Many of times.
And this is what happens. He walks on, doesn't look back. He pretends he can't hear her, starts to whistle as he crosses the street, seems embarrassed to be there. Oh, think twice, 'cause it's another day for you and me in paradise. How ironic, huh? Paradise, sure. Oh, think twice, 'cause it's another day for you and me in paradise. Just think about it.
Yeah, I like that just think about it part. There's a lot of people that walk around, they don't think about it. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to see, that's why he ignored her.
Of course.
Because he
doesn't
doesn't want his paradise bubble popped.
Ooh, I like that. He's in
You
the
know.
paradise. He doesn't want that touched. She calls out to the man on the street. He can see she's been crying. She's got blisters on the soles of her feet. She can't walk, but she's trying. Okay, so then the chorus. I'll skip over because we're so short on time.
Okay.
Oh, Lord, there's nothing more anyone can do. Oh, Lord, there must be something you can say. So, seems like she's praying.
No,
No?
Phil Collins is praying.
Oh, Phil, yeah, okay.
The person that wrote the song,
okay,
and
okay.
he's noticing. This is the story of a woman that he saw, or he knows that they exist.
Oh, he's
so
watching the scenario.
Yeah,
and
he's watching
saying,
it.
Oh, Lord, okay.
Is there anything that we could do
I
about
see,
it?
I see.
But that's all we're just saying things. We're not really doing anything. We'd like to say it'd be nice to go do something nice for somebody else. We're not really doing anything about it.
So I'll just finish a couple of stanzas, then we'll close on. You could tell from the lines on her face, you can see that she's been there, probably been moved on from every place because she didn't fit in there. Oh, think twice. Like the police officer. Come on, get off the beach, right? Moved around, the lines on her face. She's endured a lot.
Oh, because the weather out there is, oh man, it's brutal.
Okay.
The sun and the cold. I mean,
no sunblock given to
No, of
homeless
course
people.
not.
Yeah.
but
So there's so much here. It's such a beautiful, deep song. Thank
It
you for
is.
recommending this. And I'll just close out because I
you
know
didn't analyze it.
we only have, pardon me?
You didn't analyze it.
I didn't analyze
No.
it? You did it.
All right.
Yeah?
I'm like a baby bird.
Yeah? Well,
She taught me how to analyze. Thank you.
You know how to think like a shrink.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate you coming on and being vulnerable and open and sharing this
Anytime.
very, very tough experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to hear from my audience. I want to hear from people. How do you guys feel about setting up some sort of a charitable fund for people who need psychological services and serving the community? Please write me at Dr. Judy at psychologicalhealingcenter.com, or I think there's an info one too, and you can reach me through my website, drjudywtf.com, and of course you know that I have the book Be the Cause: Healing Human Disconnect, and I'm freshening it up and uploading a new version in about a couple of weeks, so that's exciting to be done with that project, and then the video's going up, and so thank you.
Can't wait for that one.
Yeah, me too.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, thank you. So very, very much appreciate you having the courage to come out here and share your story, and hopefully you'll be back.
Yeah. It'd be my honor. Hopefully we'll get more colors next time.
Yes. Well, Joe broke the ice for us, so
thank you, Joe.
Yeah. So thank you very much, everyone, and I'll see you next week. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.